Good evening, buenas tardes. Good evening, buenas tardes. No?
Awesome.
Hello?
It's just
There. All right, there you go.
I
Maybe.
think I think that was mine, so I don't think
Oh.
yours is on.
Good evening, buenas tardes. Welcome to the Curriculum Committee meeting for November 17, 2025. Roll call, please.
Vania Valencia.
Saul Olivas.
Amy Engel.
John Simpson.
Bob Helverson.
Thank you. Sorry for technical difficulties. We have no public comments. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Dr. Engel.
Good evening. We are excited to continue with our monthly school improvement presentations. And first up, I would like to welcome the Dietrich administrative team to present their school improvement plan.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Good evening, Dr. Hallerson and Board of Education members. I'm Lauren Cunningham, the principal of Dietrich Elementary School.
I'm Wilson Morales, the assistant principal.
We're excited to be here to share with you all of the collaborative work that we're doing at Dietrich. All right. This summer, our school improvement team worked together to create and revise our school improvement plan. Our team was comprised of dedicated staff and our admin team, and we focused collaboratively on our areas for growth in numeracy, literacy, and sense of belonging.
And a sense of belonging, as you can see by some of the pictures. For example, for Hispanic Heritage Month, sometimes we just look at the Mexican, Puerto Rican, but there's so many different avenues and so many of our students come with all those different locations. So we make sure they're acknowledged. We also have a thing going with our staff. Every staff member has a passport, and we have different themes for the month. In fact, Mr. Simpson just visited our school the other day, and we were having Italian food with the flag and everything, and they get stamped and so on. So we are celebrating not just with our staff, but with our students.
Based on our data from the 2024-25 school year, the current reality notes student achievement and attendance statistics, including our math MAP achievement at 18% overall, with percentages differing for different subgroups, such as students with disabilities, English language learners, and various ethnicities. Our literacy achievement in MAP is 10.77% overall. Our current IAR proficiency in math is 3.27, and our current literacy proficiency is 6.57%.
In the areas of attendance, we're making great gains there. In fact, when we produce this slide, we are at 94.4. We are currently, we just checked today, we're at 95.2. So just the fact that we went up another percentage is going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Our chronic absentees, that's at 16%. We do focus on those students. We haven't had a chance to do that many home visits at this time, as we've done in the past, but we are meeting with our truancy officer. We have 3 meetings this week with parents. We make calls. We're always on them. We make calls daily just to get them to the school, and the parents have been very responsive on that.
Thank you. The Dietrich Elementary School Improvement Plan has 3 main focuses on literacy, numeracy, and creating a culture of belonging. Today, we will briefly share our plan regarding these 3 goals. Our focus around literacy revolves around our SMART goal. By the end of the school year, Dietrich Elementary will increase the percentage of students meeting and or exceeding grade level expectations by 6% as measured across all groups on IAR. Some key actions that we are doing at Dietrich include providing grade level instruction to all students using our new HMH curriculum, In addition, we are providing professional development regarding engaging instructional strategies. We are providing opportunities for peer observation for teachers and monitoring student progress on CFAs. We're also providing more opportunities for staff to collaborate and using data to inform Tier 1 small group instruction.
In numeracy, basically the same with the 6% gain trying to make. One key actions, and as you can see in the far column, is we focus on the Are You Ready? The students are really getting into that. The staff actually breaks down the curriculum in different steps. We are doing our own staff, interventionists and coach and so on. They actually do the PDs for our staff, which has more buy-in. So that's been a very strong asset that we've had. We've had a very strong staff, and they present at different angles so the teachers can make that connection to that. As for the culture, we already talked about that, but we continue to have the students, besides the weekly celebrations, we keep adding things to what we do in our school. Pictures of students, buying the entry TVs, for example, the displays. We keep changing that around. We have the pause store, which a lot of schools do. The second step training, depending on what our students have identified as their needs. We have done we will do 3 separate surveys for the students to see how they feel, the safety and security of the school, and so on. We had a meeting today, for example, on the Satchel Pulse, the various information that's in there, the different videos and things that can be presented to our staff, so they feel comfortable with that. As I said about the home visits, we will conduct those. We're just not there with everything going on in the world. It's been a little touchy, but we do have those meetings. We ask the parents to come to the school, which they feel safe about, so they do come. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dietrich team. Next, I'd like to welcome the Gates administrative team for their school improvement presentation.
And then we're clicking or they're doing it? They do it? You. Okay. All righty. So good evening, board members, Dr. Halverson, and cabinet members. My name is Fatima Ballesteros. I'm the proud principal of Gates Elementary School. With me this evening, I have Krista Barony, one of my assistant principals. Jacqueline Waldvogel was not able to be here this evening, and she's the other assistant principal at Gates Elementary School. So our mission is to educate and empower all students to reach their full potential. Our vision is Gates students, families, and staff will collaborate to provide a safe and nurturing learning environment that empowers all to achieve their personal best. And here we have a little pic of our littlest tigers from kindergarten enjoying, their recess time.
Currently, we are seeing consistent progress in literacy across multiple student groups, with several subgroups demonstrating steady proficiency on both MAP and IAR. This reflects the positive impact of our school-wide focus on early literacy, small group instruction, and targeted interventions. One area we are continuing to work on is our chronic absenteeism. We continue to work on this rate through our work in analyzing data, identifying our neediest students in this area, and working with our attendance team to ensure their needs are met.
Thank you. So our literacy goal for this year is by the end of 2025-2026 school year, Gates School will increase the percentage of students meeting or exceeding grade level expectations in reading by 5% across all reported groups demographics as measured by the spring 2026 IAR assessment. This summer, the school leadership team and the Gates admin team, we worked with West Ed to identify a priority practice that we would incorporate throughout the school year. and making sure that we align to this best practice to support our teacher capacity. So we are building teacher capacity to communicate learning expectations clearly using student-friendly language, modeling, and checking for understanding. Teachers are delivering focused, responsive instruction that supports student engagement. Leaders are building their capacity to observe, give targeted feedback, support teachers in refining instructional clarity and student engagement strategies. As a result, students will demonstrate increased engagement and on-task behavior, participate in class discussions, and improve assessment results. Some of our action steps are identified here, but we did do a book study over the summer, and we are incorporating some of those practices throughout the grade levels. We are also continuing to look at our student data and identify those areas of strength, and then focus in on those gaps that we have in literacy. All of the teachers, kindergarten through first grade, are expected to regularly be sharing the objectives in a student-friendly manner and revisiting them at the end of the lesson or throughout the week. They must post their vocabulary, their targeted vocabulary in the classrooms as it aligns to the dual language program. And then we have started doing our walkthroughs with our instructional coach to make sure that these practices are in fact in place. For numeracy, we have our goal for this year. By the end of the school year, 2025-2026, Gates School will increase the percentage of students meeting or exceeding grade level expectations in mathematics by 5% across all reported groups demographics as measured by spring 2026 IAR. We still have the same priority practice as previously. And for some of our action steps that are posted here is the teachers are expected to create either together with the students or on their own anchor charts that the students can reference in class, check for understanding through their lessons, their units, use language supports to make sure that students are able to address the questions being asked. And we're constantly using formative assessments to make those shifts that we need. And let's see here, we're continuing this school year to do spiral reviews in the morning with drops in the bucket. This year, what's new for us is we had gone in and looked at our IAR performance when it came to third, fourth, and fifth grade. An area that was identified is we need to grow in mathematics. One of those areas that the school leadership team felt that we needed to grow on is definitely the area of explanation. When the students show their growth or they apply the math operation, they're expected to explain their work. So we have this school year made sure that from kindergarten through fifth grade, there is a template that has been decided upon that will be used with fidelity from kindergarten through fifth grade. And just this evening, the first collection of that student work was reviewed by the school leadership team. And that way for the next faculty meeting on Monday, then we can go ahead and provide some suggestions as to what were some of the areas that we saw that were strengths from K through fifth grade, and what are some areas that we want to continue to focus on to make sure that we are in fact aligning with our math standards. And we are definitely working on looking at those scoring parameters for IAR math assessment.
Our focus on a culture for belonging is on attendance, with our SMART goal being by June 2026, Gates School will foster a culture for belonging such that we will work to maintain an attendance rate of 95% for the 25-26 school year. Gates' attendance rate as of today is at 92.7%. To build our culture for belonging, we are continuing to build our teachers' capacity to communicate to students effectively in their instruction, specifically when using our district's SEL curriculum second step. We are also using weekly, monthly, and quarterly incentives to improve attendance. And finally, we are utilizing attendance data to identify students and families needing further supports. As our culture for belonging strengthens, we expect to see our chronic absenteeism and our attendance rate improve.
This concludes our presentation for this evening. Do you guys have questions for us? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gates team. Moving on, I would like to invite Dr. Gonzalez, our Executive Director of Elementary Education, and our partners with the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Illinois to provide an update and an overview in the successes of our partnership so far this year.
Good evening, curriculum committee members, Dr. Halverson and the executive cabinet. It is my privilege to celebrate the burgeoning partnership between East Aurora School District 131 and the Boys and Girls Club of North Central Illinois. As the executive director, it's a joy to visit school sites and see kids in the program. I observe them smiling, building relationships, and engaged in meaningful activities. A key partner in this successful collaboration is Natalie Pollock, the Chief Operations Officer. And so please join me in welcoming her to share more news and highlights.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you this evening. So I'd first like to start with a youth engagement summary. Since operations began in late August, enrollment and average daily attendance have more than doubled. Currently, their program is at approximately 30% of capacity, and our team is actively working to recruit more youth to join club each day. I'm excited to share that of the 239 students who are enrolled, 85% are attending our program for free, as we had anticipated. We welcome continued collaboration with the school district and with our school partners for how to continue to spread the information out to students and families so that we can continue to enroll throughout the school year. First, I'd like to highlight our Project Learn program, which supports academic success. Club staff have already in the first few months established a daily routine with a schedule ensuring that time is set aside for homework, completion, and reading practice to promote literacy. You can see some photos here of the kiddos enjoying reading and completing their homework. Youth are encouraged to select books from the library or from home to provide opportunities to read books that align with their personal interests. In addition to prioritizing academic success, we know it's really important to focus on emotional well-being and creating a sense of belonging and connection. For students that are participating in our programs, they're meeting new staff members, they're meeting new peers within their schools. Because we serve K through 5, they may be hanging out with students who are in different grade levels or different classrooms. So we really want to make sure that staff are implementing programs that focus on that emotional well-being with an emphasis on creating a sense of community and belonging at each site. In our Boys and Girls Club program called Triple Play, we promote physical fitness. Youth are exposed to a wide variety of physical activity through the Boys and Girls Club of America curriculum. In addition to playing favorites like soccer, students also received an introduction to floor hockey, yoga, and even enjoyed scoop ball during the beautiful fall weather. Programs work to help develop gross motor skills, build endurance, and foster teamwork. Our club art programs are designed to integrate a variety of elements and mediums, exposing youth to unique ways to express their creativity. Programs also develop fine motor skills for our young members. This quarter, youth had an opportunity to make beaded jewelry, do pumpkin painting, complete leaf art, and make collages, and they even practiced origami. In addition to structured programs, time is provided for unstructured play and connection. Youth compete in fun games and races. I love this picture from O'Donnell. The girl next to her friend is very invested in her success with the cup stacking. They are able to build open-ended designs, enjoy the fresh air outside, and manipulate sensory tools like slime. We've also partnered through our grant with the City of Aurora for some enrichment partnerships to expose youth to new experiences. So we had, this is called the Reptile Guy, I believe, but every single program was able to meet a wide variety of reptiles, and we really want to just partner. Certainly we don't have these stored in our Boys and Girls Club offices, so we realize our limitations and find unique community partners to bring special experiences to the members that they might not experience otherwise.
Through the visit, youth had hands-on exposure to real-world science, observing variation among animals, adaptations, and biological features of the animals. In addition to highlighting the STEM aspect of this, the program also fosters a shared experience of courage and growth. I, for one, might not have done that. And finally, we'd like to highlight one of our students from East Aurora. You may have met her if you were here a few weeks ago. This is Abir from Bardwell Elementary. She has, in a very short amount of time, made an impressive impact on her school and club community. She has welcomed her role as club ambassador, introducing our CEO, Kathy Russell, at multiple events, and she even led the tour with Alderman Nunez when he visited her school. She has shared that the club has been a place for her to form meaningful friendships and a safe place to land after a long day at school. I just want to close with, again, thanking everyone within the school district and this community for the opportunity to serve your students and for us to be able to learn and grow and better meet your needs. Any questions? No.
Thank you very much. Moving on with partnerships, I'd like to welcome Ms. Martinez, our Assistant Director for the Resilience Education Center. She's going to highlight another partnership with the Mental Health and Wellness Symposium, and will provide a brief presentation on that for us as well this evening.
Good evening, East Aurora Curriculum Committee, Dr. Halverson, and cabinet members. My name is Marissa Martinez, and I am the Assistant Director of the Resilience Education Center. It is my pleasure to present the Mental Health and Wellness Symposium. The Mental Health and Wellness is an effort focused on supporting mental health and wellness for students, families, and staff. A brief overview of the 2026 symposium, which is scheduled for March 7, 2026 at Mattia Valley High School from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is free and open to all. Its focus is to educate, provide valuable mental health information, reduces barriers, and destigmatize mental health. We want families and students to walk away feeling informed, supported, and connected. Last year, we had powerful sessions led by clinicians, educators, community organizations, and student leaders. We held adult sessions, teen sessions, keynote speakers, resource fair, and book fair, all at no cost to our families. This year, we are partnering with Indian Prairie School District 204, Oswego Community School District 308, and Naperville Community School District 203. The benefits to the partnership: it expands access to mental health resources and education. Again, it is no cost to our families. It strengthens staff knowledge and connection to community resources and empowers our students as leaders. It also reinforces our district theme of belonging. The partnership fee is $2,500. Thank you. Does anybody have questions? Thank you.
We promised to bring you back some information about professional development. So here we are today chatting a little bit about the updates there. We've been really busy this year providing PD to our staff, and we wanted to revisit those major focus areas for the year with this PD update. The focus areas for the district are determined based on the needs of the staff and students. This year, there have been 4 main areas shown on the screen where our focus has been spent, and that's where our PD time has been prioritized. On the next slide, we'll dive into culture and climate. That was an area identified by Dr. Halverson as a key focus area for the district. Professional development's been provided to support building relationships, interacting in a positive manner, collaborating with others, engaging in restorative practices, and exploring implicit bias. These are all part of a larger PD focus throughout the year with recurring themes on SIP and Institute days for our staff. On the next slide, we talk a little bit about our 2 key academic areas of focus, both literacy and math. They contribute to the Illinois School Report Card ratings, and more than typical growth were identified as a prime focus also by Dr. Halverson this year. Professional development's been provided to teachers across content areas and grade bands, reinforcing literacy and math instruction. Literacy has been an intensive focus at that elementary level with the new resource adoption. This group participated in targeted PD back in April and May, optional PD in July, and then in-building coaching has been provided. We're on our second round of 3 rounds of in-building coaching, and buildings have had some autonomy in helping to identify their needs and strategies specific to those buildings to address them. We have additional PD still planned throughout SIP days and in-person coaching during the remainder of the year. And similarly, at that secondary level, My Perspectives PD is planned to support literacy there as well. As a continuation of pop back one slide, sorry. Forgot about the math side. As a continuation of last year's efforts, iReady coaching cycles are also planned for this year. Some have already started, some are coming up soon, but buildings have scheduled time to work with the consultants in their buildings, reviewing available resources, completing learning walks, viewing model instruction. And in addition, at that high school level, we have our math resource pilot continuing. Savas is the publisher. And they've been really helpful in providing some aligned resources to support our instructional frameworks. We expect to be returning to share pilot results and next steps on that topic in coming months. On our next slide, we have an abundance of digital tools as a district that we provide to reinforce student learning and support staff. We have professional development out there to help our staff maximize these tools. Much of our summer PD is spent on these tools because they can have some time to dive in and explore during the summer when they're not right in the middle of lesson planning directly. So we provided PD on Canva, Kami, School Links, PebbleGo, Google, Nearpod, Storyboard That, quizzes, and more. Those are just a few. Beyond supporting learning, operational excellence has also been a focus with some of this PD as well, specifically with sessions focused on synergy and Skyward, depending on the group of staff members we're talking about. And we know that on the next slide, students require a variety of academic and behavioral supports to reach their full potential. Listed here are a few of the sample titles we provided to our staff this year thus far. We've provided PD on multilingual and newcomer supports, additional support for interventionists, behavioral support for staff, CPI, and more. And in addition, we've been really intentional to provide PD for those instructional coaches and administrators to support staff and students throughout our system. We're excited to continually provide timely, high-quality professional development throughout the rest of the year and beyond. So, what questions can I answer for you guys?
I do have just thinking on the last slide that you have professional development with the purpose, and PD times, and I know teachers' schedule and everyone's schedule is busy, but when we talk about PD with the purpose, how do we manage that to ensure that we are providing that PD, but that is varies in times of what teachers really need? Like, how do we get that data? Are we providing surveys? Like, how do we get that data that teachers really need is purposeful?
I think, yeah, I know that we have provided surveys in the past to ask staff what they needed, which is where we came up with the summer schedule of all of the PDs that we provided. The in the school year ones are mostly on our SIP days and institute days. It sounded like you were asking though about timing. So if timing is of particular interest, we provide PD after school to support them so that they don't miss out on in-class instruction and we don't have a sub need. Other than that, we maximize our institute and SIP days for those.
I think aligning with that as part of our SIP days, we definitely have still had district-driven SIP days as far as school improvement and professional development. But part of the feedback that we heard from our principals loud and clear is that they would like some professional development time with their staff as well to really drive our school improvement plans. And with our school improvement plans being more robust this year, we did analyze that and gave some of those times back. So there is very targeted where it's district-led on certain days, but we have reallocated some of those times for our building-led professional development as well. So they're able to differentiate based off the building needs as well.
Absolutely. Next up is information about our Illinois school report card. I will give you a heads up. There are lots of charts in this one, so I'll try to pause and explain like which part of it we're specifically looking at. So don't hesitate to ask questions. But here we're going to review the district-wide assessment data that contribute to the Illinois school report card. So let's take a look at the overall district proficiency. We're going to start with this particular graph. On here, we see math represented by the top bar and ELA represented on the lower bar. The gray bar in the graph shows the state performance level, while the red bar represents our district. You can see in math, just under 40% of students statewide met or exceeded proficiency, compared to approximately 15% in our district. And in ELA, over 50% of students across the state were proficient or above, while approximately 25% of our students reached that level. You'll notice that there's a larger gap in math than there is in ELA, both at the district and the state level. And there are some important reasons behind that difference that we'll bring up next. If we take a look on the next slide, the national percentiles that correspond with the Illinois proficiency benchmarks, when the state right-sized the data, they recalibrated what it means to be proficient for accountability purposes. On here, you can see that the new Illinois proficiency benchmarks were compared to those from other states. This graph illustrates how Illinois compares nationally in terms of rigor for identifying that students are considered proficient. The blue line on this chart, on this graph, represents math, and the orange line represents ELA. You'll notice that ELA proficiency falls consistently around that 50th percentile. What that means is about half the states have more rigorous expectations than Illinois, and about half the states have less rigorous expectations. We're right in the middle. When you look at math, you'll notice that that one, that blue bar or blue line is higher, and it varies and ranges from the 55th percentile to the 69th percentile. So some grade levels are significantly more challenging to be labeled proficient than others. So for example, if you take a look up there in 8th grade math, only 31% of states have more rigorous expectations than Illinois. And 70% of the states, or just under 70%, have lower thresholds for proficiency than Illinois. Whereas if you take a look at a different grade level, say grade 3, Illinois is at that 55 percentile, meaning we're just slightly above that middle or average.
Dr. Engel, just to clarify, this is after the state renormed, correct? So this is after the renorming that just occurred this fall?
Correct.
Okay.
Previously, the chart would have looked very different. Illinois would have been even more rigorous in both ELA and math. This has brought us to be closer to that middle or closer to that norm. And in ELA, we're very consistently towards that center. And in math, we have a bit of a range there. But you may notice that when we look at the results, that some grade levels seem to have performed better than others, and especially in math. Because you can see that there are different levels of rigor for hitting proficiency. I just want to make sure I shared that because when I saw that, I thought, oh, this explains a little bit. So, okay, let's dive into the ELA data first for District 131. So when we start with the overall proficiency by grade level, this graph is similar to the one we reviewed for the district's overall performance. Here we see it by individual grade levels from 3rd through 8th grade. The data that you see here is from the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, the IAR, and the Dynamic Learning Maps, or the DLM. The DLM is the state's alternative assessment for students with our most significant cognitive disabilities. So that data is combined on this chart. On the graph, the state performance again is in gray and the district performance is in red. Here you can see across all grade levels, our students are performing below that state average in proficiency. However, if you take a look at 5th grade, that shows the smallest gap between the district and the state performance, followed by 8th grade and 7th grade, respectively. The overall data provides important insight, and our recent focus on literacy at the elementary level included in that curriculum review and adoption of new resources was well timed and well aligned to our needs. We see that this is an area that we need to work on, and that work is ongoing. We're going to continue to monitor the impact on future results. Next, let's take a look at one of our subgroups that's had a significant influence on our building level performance. Our Children with Disabilities group, or CWD group, is shown here. This chart shows the same data by grade level. Each bar again represents a grade. However, this is comparing the state performance for children with disabilities to our district performance on the IAR for children with disabilities, which is shown in black. The gap between our students and their peers statewide is again clearly visible and remains a key area of focus for us moving forward. So I'm going to come back to that conversation in a little bit. Let's take a look at the high school literacy next. When we look at the high school level, students participate in both the ACT and the DLM that I mentioned earlier. This year marked the first time since 2017 that our students took the ACT instead of the SAT. Our data shows that the largest performance gap between our students and the state average occurred in grade 11, while the disparities in proficiency rates for grades 9 and 10 were similar. Because the official transition to the ACT occurred after the school year began, they had not yet announced that they were transitioning to ACT and had not yet given the contract for ACT until school year started last year. We did not have our students take the pre-ACT in the fall. So the ACT was their first exposure to this assessment. This year, we have adjusted our approach. We administered that pre-ACT in the fall, and we have been incorporating targeted ACT preparation into our Skills for Success course to better support student readiness. When looking at data for our students with disabilities, just like we did for the other grade levels, here you can see similar trends to that overall student population. Our 9th grade students perform closer to the state average than our 10th and 11th grade students. And in addition to proficiency, the state also evaluates those assessment results in terms of growth. So we've been looking at proficiency, but let's take a look at our growth data as well. Here, this chart reflects growth data for all students in red and growth data for CWD, or Children with Disability students, in black. And then the lines on the graph illustrate the state average for growth for all students in gray and the state average for IEP student growth. So if you take a look here, you can see that in District 131, we have an observation in grade 5 where our all student group matched the state's growth percentile, and it also had the highest percentage of students scoring proficient or above. So that's like one observation that's really positive. But we also know that there are times where the growth percentiles are different, and then times where they're similar. If you take a look specifically at 6th grade, for instance, you can see that our all student group and our Children with Disabilities group grew very similarly. They were below that state average, but we did see that that Children with Disabilities group in 6th grade really performed similarly to their peers. So it's an area for us to explore more deeply and identify what we're doing in there to help that group grow. And we can focus on those. So those are areas that we're going to continue to explore. Ultimately, though, we need to remember that growth accounts for 50% of the Illinois school report card calculation. So that's something that is really important to us. You'll also notice that 3rd grade is not accounted for here because since that's the first year that they take the state assessment, they wouldn't have growth data until that 4th grade year. Let's take a look at the growth data for our high school level. At the high school level, growth for our CWD students in grade 9 actually exceeded that of the all student group, and grade 10 growth was nearly identical between the two groups. The data lines indicate that our students overall are not yet achieving the same growth rates as all students statewide. but that we are in the high school level closer than we have been in many of our elementary and middle school levels. This really underscores that importance of our focus on more than typical growth, because that will be key to closing achievement gaps and increasing proficiency. So that's our focus. Let's look at the math data next. As with literacy, all grade levels from 3 through 8 performed below that state average for students meeting or exceeding proficiency in math. Our highest performing grade level, though, was in grade 3 in mathematics. When you look at this same data for CWD students, you see that performance in math was similar. You guys move forward a second. Oh, thank you. Yeah. You can see that the performance in math was similar. It was still below that state average. We note here, though, that there's a particular area of need in grade 5, where the performance gap between the district and the state is the widest with our CWD students. When we look at this at the high school level, all grades performed similarly in math. Overall, proficiency continues to remain an area of opportunity. We know that alongside our renewed emphasis on ACT readiness and preparation, we also have that pilot for our new math textbooks, providing some additional strengthening to our instructional resources, which should be a positive impact on this. Let's take a look at our CWD students in high school. Here, they also perform below their state peers in math proficiency. So that concept of that targeted and intentional focus on math instruction will be very important at the high school level, both for all students and CWD. You can go to the next slide. While literacy growth was below average in most grades, with the exception of grade 5, our math growth data shows a different trend. In grades 6, 7, and 8, our students met the state average for growth, as shown by the proximity of that red bar to that gray state line. This may indicate that our recent district focus on our math curriculum and continuous professional development and work with instructional coaching in our buildings from iReady may be contributing to some of that improvement we're seeing here. With that continued attention in this area, our next step is to push for not just good growth, but above average growth, more than typical growth. Because when we do see more than typical growth, that's when we'll start to see our proficiency rates rising, and we'll start to see the closing of the gap between ourselves and the state numbers. When you take a look at the high school level, the math data here also reveals some encouraging patterns. In grade 9, both the all-student group and the children with disability group demonstrate similar growth, and we're close to that state average. In grade 10, our students matched the state average, and our CWD students actually exceeded the state's growth percentile, which is a true celebration. And in grade 11, both groups grew at similar rates, though slightly below that state average. This is a lot of data, but there are some key takeaways and next steps. Overall proficiency remains below that state average, as we've seen. Across grades 3 through 11, proficiency in literacy and math is below the state level, though some grade bands show areas of improvement. We see that students with disabilities continue to perform below the state average, reinforcing that need for targeted supports. We have been working with our data team to develop comprehensive data dashboards for district and school leaders to conduct data dives, identifying areas needing additional support and highlighting successful practices that are worth replicating. Those have been rolling out all of first quarter and second quarter with lots of feedback coming in about their use. We continue to work with high leverage instructional strategies in both literacy and math, focused on rigor for all students, and that's a top priority. In collaboration with the Student Services Department, we are going to examine the curricular framework and scope and sequence for all our CWD courses to ensure access to grade level content while also addressing those skill gaps. We have ongoing benchmarking where we want to remind everybody to continue to celebrate successes at the student, classroom, and school level, because that's really essential. Cultivating a mindset focused on more than typical growth at every level is going to be that key that we keep coming back to. We know our instructional coaches are working really hard, and we hope that they continue to do the great work of modeling and supporting those effective practices while we continue to expand those job-embedded professional development opportunities and coaching experiences in both math and literacy. And then finally, we're using this data to continually review and refine our school improvement plans, ensuring that goals and actions are aligned with measurable growth and proficiency gains. Ultimately, we know we have work to do. There are a few things in here that seem to indicate the work we've been doing are the right work. And we just have to continue to work hard to now get that more than typical growth. What questions can I answer?
Not a question, but just going back to the, PD and with the purpose, right? Being able to, I highlighted here, PD and data drives, right? We need to make sure that we know where we know where we need to go, but how we get there is going back to those data dives. And we all need to be working with this together to be able to make sure that our students have what they need and our staff has what they need to make sure that our students get there. So I think just reviewing this data with, the district level principals and then staff, I think that's going to ensure that we head on in the right way.
Thank you. Good. Last but not least, we have our attendance and enrollment. And when you take a look at attendance and enrollment, our current enrollment as of the 10th is 11,744 students. Last year at this time, we had 12,329 students on the 8th of November. So we are definitely down a little bit there. And our attendance is currently at 90.84%. Which is lower than last year. Previously at this time, it was around a 93.47%. You'll notice if you dive into that attendance report that the average is that 90%. So we have some that are a little higher, some that are a little bit lower for reasons that you might expect. Any questions?
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We would like to adjourn the curriculum committee meeting at 6:48. Thank you. We'll see you again on December, 15th? Good. Hello.